Hello and welcome. This is Super Evolution. Hopefully you enjoy. We start off with the red lights zooming through traffic. This is where we see the main character for the very first time. We see the man passing through another green light, questioning the use of his superpower if he can't even fight with it. He closes his eyes and starts to have a flashback from earlier that day about the Superhuman entrance exam. All of the students attending have passed the written test. In the arena, they will be testing their superpowers. There are 5 different tiers of superpowers, starting with White Dust, Blue Spirit, Violet Soul, Red Royal, and Sacred Black. The young man looks at a young girl with her hands up, saying good luck. The announcer tells the arena and applicants that they need a tier that it's at least Blue Spirit or higher to pass. He places his hand on the orb, noticing he got the lowest tier, White Dust, which means that he is not recruited into the Superhuman school. The young man, hearing Blue Spirit and Violet Soul, he looks up to see the rest of the applicants passing. In the crowd, 3 young teens start to make fun of Ming He. The people are calling him weak, say that he should quit trying to become a superhero since his power is only having good luck. The young blonde-haired man says out loud that Ming He even had the gall to confess to the school's beauty, which has a Violet Soul tier superpower. The same girl that said good luck to Ming He is now looking sad because of the results of the test. Ming He opens his eyes, saying to himself again, good luck my ass. Ming He tells himself that he has a useless power and that he can't even fight a monster that can destroy large buildings with the power he has. Ming He is leaving the city with a sad expression on his face. He notices a comet flying above his head, thinking to himself that he's faster than a bullet right now, so there's no way a comet will wind up hitting him. Ming He notices something behind him, realizing the comet's heading right towards him. Bang! The comet hits Ming He. As smoke fills the air, we see Ming He laying on the floor with a strange-looking orb slowly going towards him. We see the orb entering Ming He's body. Then a system-type message comes up with an error next to it. A strange-looking humanoid figure is seen and chooses the best option, which is to coexist with the newly found host. Now, getting a closer look at the humanoid figure, they say that Ming He doesn't have a combat ability, which means that he could easily die. Then, soon after, a surge of power, transferring into Ming He's hand, starts to glow with power, and then he sees that Ming He's body is glowing with a prominent red aura, with a newly acquired rating of Royal Red. The humanoid figure claims that Ming He can most likely fight now. Laying in bed, we see that Ming He is unconscious, while 2 doctors, male and female, are standing near him. The male doctor is talking about how his body is in good condition, but he must have hit his head, which caused him to be in a coma. The female doctor tells the male doctor that she'll take good care of Ming He. Another doctor comes into the room to find Dr. Zhao to come to examine the monster's blood, so they take their leave. A few days later, we see some beautiful looking flowers being held by the same black-haired girl that said good luck to him. A month has passed, and there is a group of teens in Ming He's room, the same 3 teens that were bad-mouthing Ming He about his white dust rank with another new-looking face, talking about how they could tell that Ming He really wanted to become a superhero, and saying that he was quite upset about what happened, but he should have paid attention to his safety. The young blonde-haired teen notices some flowers with the letter sitting on top, so he decides to take a look at the letter, while that brown-haired teen tries to be hopeful that Ming He could find a job after he wakes up, since the medical bills aren't cheap, and somehow heard that Ming He's sister took on a couple more jobs to help pay for those medical bills. The blonde-haired teen reads the letter that was meant for Ming He and thinks to himself how Lu Chan replied to Ming He's trash confession, and also thinking that they're not even sure if Ming He will wake up or not. So the blonde-haired teen decides to rip up the letter. A whole year has passed since Ming He entered the hospital. Moving to a street, we see a clawy-looking hand coming out of the sewers. It appears to be a mutant roach that looks very deadly. Communications has started to happen to warn the nearby people that a large number of mutant monsters have appeared in Nansheng, and they should all evacuate immediately. Moving back to the hospital, we see a group of doctors, including Dr. Zhao, getting told by a person in a dress-up suit that they shouldn't just stand there and run. The doctor that was in charge of taking care of Ming He thought to herself that she can't just leave him even if he doesn't wake up. The doctor enters the room and sees Ming He with the weird expression on his face. The doctor grabs Ming He's hand and notices that a mutant caught up to her and is now standing behind her. The mutant gets close to the doctor's terrified face and starts to lick her cheek, saying "delicious" to itself. Out of nowhere, a powerful punch is launched at the mutant's face, surprising the doctor. A fist that's clenched from Ming He's body has an aura around it, and then we see Ming He's eyes open after a whole year while he takes off the medical equipment on his body. We see the mutant bugs climbing up the hospital, and then we see an explosion come from one of the rooms. Ming He obliterated a mutant with a single punch that ended up breaking through 3 layers of walls, which caused the explosion from the outside. Ming He tells the doctor not to worry since the mutant is now dead, and then asks if she could stand. Ming He expresses his thanks to Nurse Song for taking care of him for so long, and she replied saying thanks and asked when did he wake up. Ming He changed the topic and asked if this is the Nanchange hospital, and also asked why are there these kinds of mutant cockroaches here. Nurse Song told him about the higher-ups telling her that there was a polluted fluid that went into the sewers, which infected the parasites, causing them to mutate. Ming He asked about the others and the residents nearby. Nurse Song told him that they were probably moving to a safe area, but she was afraid since he was unconscious. Ming He says to the nurse that she didn't leave him behind. With a worried face, the nurse said that she was just doing her job and asked Ming He if he was just a student and how is he able to kill a mutant monster with just 1 punch. Ming He thinks to himself about how he's been practicing his fighting technique for a whole year now, and then he said out loud to the nurse that they should both hurry to leave this place and move to a safety area like the others. Mutant cockroaches are standing outside in the hallway while Ming He takes a step out, telling the nurse to wait there as the cockroaches start to make their way to Ming He. One of the mutants launches towards Ming He, so he decides to form a fist while air comes rushing in. With just 1 punch, Ming He evaporates the mutant's upper body, shocking the other mutants. So while they were stunned of shock, Ming He rushes towards them, punching each and every one of the mutants. Then he hears a scream from the nurse and does a whole 180 and ends up finding some sulfuric acid, which then he slams his fist on the cart, breaking it while the acid gets launched into the air. Then he breaks the glass bottle with his fist, and then the acid forming onto his hand. He throws a punch with the acid on his hand, killing the mutants that was attacking Nurse Song. Ming He thinks to himself about how he's already practiced this move in his brain countless times and has actually yet to use it. The nurse was amazed about what Ming He has just done, asking about his superpower and if it has something to do with punching. Ming He is being humble, saying that he's still just a student that failed his examination last year. Nurse Song questions if the teachers are blind and how Ming He's power can't even get compared to some pyro rank superhumans. Ming He asked how the mutant cockroaches became so scary and what type of fluid it was. Nurse Song says that there are not only cockroaches in the sewers. Ming He also asked the nurse if there was any more sulfuric acid, since it was quite useful. We start to see a moving bus, and out of nowhere, an explosion happens in front of the bus, which made the passengers start to panic. Some of the other passengers see the mutants climbing towards the bus and start to scream, "Cockroaches!" Dr. Zhao immediately gets on the phone, asking for help, saying there are a lot of mutants that appeared and is requesting support from the Superhumans. We see a gunshot towards the mutant that was trying to enter the bus. A pyro rank superhuman appears, telling that everyone should leave these disgusting cockroaches to him. This pyro rank superhuman has the power to shoot infinite bullets and telling all the mutants to come and die. He launches himself into the air, shooting all the mutants on top of the bus, and then when he lands, something huge is standing right behind him. He quickly turns around to see a mutant rat. The rat breaks open the bus roof while the passengers can't do anything besides panic and scream. We go back to Ming He and the nurse. The nurse asked if any of the monsters followed them, and Ming He says no for now. Nurse Song notices the bridge and the bus, saying to wait. She tells Ming He that probably the last bus that left the hospital and is now in danger. A sound is coming from a walkie-talkie saying that there's a huge mutant rat that has appeared at the Nanchan Bridge, and the superhuman twin gun has lost all vital signs. Ming He asks the person on the other end of the walkie-talkie about the giant demon rat and all of its strength and weaknesses. The person said that it's weak against fire, and also if the person we're talking to is superhuman. Ming He tells them that he's just a high schooler that failed his entrance exam to the superhuman school. The person on the other end of the walkie-talkie is telling Ming He not to be stupid and that there is a general rank monster and how those theories he learned are all absolutely useless and to hurry and seek shelter, telling him not to throw his life away. Ming He walks towards the scene saying that all the staff took care of him for over a year while he was unconscious, so he can't just stand there and do nothing. The giant mutant rat is staring into the bus filled with passengers, while we see Ming He saying out loud that it seems it's playing with its food. He tells the nurse to hide and not come out, but the nurse is very concerned about Ming He and says that he might get killed. Ming He gives a positive look at the situation and tells the nurse that when a patient is in danger, the nurses and doctors didn't just sit there and do nothing, even though Nurse Song is the only doctor that wanted to save Ming He. So Ming He jumped toward the mutant rat, saying, "You won't know if you can't beat something if you don't try." The mutant rat is biting the bus and at quick speed, Ming He gets to the rat, punching it right in the face. Ming He thinks to himself about how the cockroaches used to be as small as a human thumb, and now is as big as a human, and the growth of this rat is as big as a building, and also thinks about how if he gets hit with the claws, his bones will be broken to pieces, losing his ability to fight. But the rats are very agile, so we can't let it touch him even once. Ming He is going to lead the mutant rat away from the bus, but the rat decides to bite a car, so Ming He sees there's an opening, so he decides to throw a punch, and he does. Ming He, thinking the rat has fainted, and says to himself that it's time to throw the final blow, but then changes his mind because he knows that cunning animals like rats tend to act dead. Ming He was correct, and so the rat grabs the car and bites it while throwing another car into the air. Now the rat is charging towards Ming He, so he thinks to himself that the strength of his punches isn't enough and he won't be able to kill the mutant rat with just his normal punch. Dodging cars left and right, Ming He grabs a lighter and lights it. He drops the lighter, and while that's happening, Nurse Song is asking if Lin is okay. Dr. Lin was questioning Nurse Song's appearance, saying, "You were able to escape?" And also asking her if he is seeing wrong, since the superhuman that saved them is wearing a hospital uniform. Noticing a bright and fiery explosion, the mutant rat is now getting engulfed in the flame, with a worrisome expression on its face. Ming He says that the fire is very intense, but also knows that the fire is going to boost his strength, and calls the mutant rat a filthy sewer beast, and how dare it come up here and harm innocent people. Ming He launches his fist at the rat, telling it to "Take this!" With a fiery look in Ming He's eyes, he gives the mutant rat a blazing punch, which completely destroys the rat and the surroundings. The people Ming He saved are now yelling and saying that he killed the giant rat, and also saying that they're all saved. One of the nurses asked if Ming He is a high-ranked superhuman, and also asked why is he wearing a hospital uniform. Another nurse noticed that Ming He is the one that was in a coma for a whole year. Nurse Song tells the nurses that his name is Ming He, and he wasn't even recruited in the superhuman school. Switching to the command station, we see a blonde woman talking to Lu Xian, telling her that she doesn't need to worry anymore since the general rank mutant was killed. Lu Qian says that's great, and those people must be safe, while the blonde-haired woman says someone is on their way to meet them. Lu Qian asked about the person that killed the general rank mutant, and says that she wants to thank them in person. The blonde-haired woman says that she doesn't know who the person was and isn't on the superhuman registration list, but also says that there is no way that it could be a student and they must have been a strong superhuman that rushed there. She also asked Lu Qian if they had found the source of the pollution, and Lu Qian replied with silence, and then said there is going to be a lot more mutant monsters in the future, and all they could do for now is have everyone leave Nansheng and try to seal all the polluted regions. Moving to the rescue station, we see Nurse Song telling Ming He that he was incredible, and if it wasn't for him, none of them would have made it out alive. Out of nowhere, we see Ming He's sister asking to enter since her brother was still unconscious in the hospital, but there is a person blocking the entrance and telling her that they have already evacuated everyone and is trying to seal off Nansheng, while also saying that no one can enter unless they're a transport pool or a superhuman. The girl is saying she doesn't care and she has to go save her brother. Without noticing, Ming He was sitting right next to her, while his sister was going on about how her brother is a teenage boy that has been living in the hospital since he hasn't woken up yet. She tells the person blocking the way that her brother's name is Ming He, and he is at a young age. She says to herself that he needs to wait for his sister and that she will save him even if it costs her her own life. And if he was dead, then she would join him. Ming He is in shock while hearing his sister saying all those things. Thank you for watching part 1 of Super Evolution.